Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Apple Box Chronicles. My name is Peyton Buto.
And I'm Adryon Thomas.
And today on the ABCs, we are taking you from A to Z on Cameron Crowe and Richard Linklater once again. This is episode 2 of our dual directors segment on Cameron Crowe and Richard Linklater, and episode 3 of our dual directors segment overall. First episode was on Rian Johnson and Shane Black. Be sure to check that one out if you haven't seen it. But today, we are covering 4 more films by these 2 directors, so 2 each. And Adryon, what movies are we talking about today?
Well, for Cameron Crowe, we'll be talking about Singles and Almost Famous. And for Richard Linklater, we'll be talking about Everybody Wants Some and School of Rock. And we're going to pair Singles and Everybody Wants Some together, and we're going to pair School of Rock and Almost Famous together.
And if this is your first time joining us for a dual director segment, this is essentially a series where we take 2 filmmakers that have similar themes, ideas, character archetypes that they explore in their movies. Maybe they worked within the same period in film history, and we pair up their filmographies kind of with pairs of movies, and we go through their films and just kind of compare and contrast 2 films at a time to find new ways to appreciate both of them. This is not about pitting directors against each other or saying which movie is better. This is more about just exploring how we can learn things about the human condition in different ways from these 2 movies. And I think it's really cool. This is honestly one of my favorite things to do because, like I said to Adryon before we started recording, it's kind of an exercise in reaching. Like, we're basically taking these things and that are not meant to be paired up, and we're just pairing them up. And it's a fun exercise in finding new ways to appreciate art.
Yeah.
So, some people will think that this is stupid, but they're boring. Okay, so first set of films, we're going to be talking about Singles. I got the right one.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about Singles and Everybody Wants Some. If I can find it. There it is.
All right. I guess we'll just put out little small reviews of both these movies before we talk about them in detail. But Singles, Cameron Crowe's, I believe, his second movie that he's done, and it's interesting. It's a lot different than Say Anything. It's more, there's a lot more characters. It's more vignetted, and we get to see. He just kind of expands the type of storytelling he's doing with this movie. Very Seattle, very grungy. We see several grunge bands in this movie. And the movie's about single people living in single apartments, and it's a good movie.
Yes. It's a nice little romance film, very entertaining. Some solid performances in here as well. I think, stylistically, it's very fun. It's got, like you said, kind of vignetted in its structure. It's got these kind of interview segments with the characters where they break the fourth wall. I think that's pretty fun. And I just found the movie kind of delightful to sit through. This was my first time seeing it, and I just know, and I say this a lot about Cameron Crowe movies, but I just knew my mom liked this one because I immediately texted her. I was like, you like Singles? And she's like, oh, yeah, I love Singles. Like, she loves all sorts of Cameron Crowe movies, and this is just a movie I would definitely catch her watching. So it was a little weirdly, like, a little nostalgic for me when I was watching it. I don't know. It was a fun romance movie. I don't know if it would ever become something significant for me. But then again, I'm more of the age of the Everybody Wants Some characters, and that's something we're going to get into. Real quick, I'm going to read the synopsis for Singles now that we've kind of introduced it. It says, and this is something I want to mention, the tagline for this movie is, "Love is a game, easy to start, hard to finish." And that's kind of funny. It's a little double entendre, maybe. And it says, a group of young adults in their 20s who share an apartment in the city of Seattle ponder on love and face all of the challenges of adulthood. And then Everybody Wants Some is one of your favorite movies.
Yeah, no, it's one of my favorite Linklater movies because it's very much And this was kind of the thing when they released it, was that it's kind of like a sister movie to Dazed and Confused. It's very similar in how it tackles all these characters, and instead of being the last day of high school, it's more about the first 3 days before the start of college for these characters. Just a bunch of frat guys, baseball frat guys. They're not really a frat. They're on the baseball team, but it's kind of like a frat house, and you just kind of see them interact with each other and try to have fun while they can before school starts, and they're just partying the entire time basically. And it's another fun hangout movie from Richard Linklater, and I love pretty much all of it.
Yeah, I mean, I loved most of it as well. I can't really complain. I do like this movie better than Singles. I think you do too.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Glenn Powell in here before he was a huge thing. You got Wyatt Russell in here before he was too huge of a thing.
Yeah, it also takes place in Austin.
Takes place in Austin.
Yeah,
that's
currently.
Another reason that I like Linklater is that he often sets his films in Austin. He loves Austin. Austin Film Society, one of the best theaters. Yeah, I mean, so it's familiar in that way, but I mean, I can't say I relate to these characters too much. I've never been to a college frat house or anything like that. But I like how he shows, and we'll get into it, I like how he shows these kind of fast-paced environments that these characters are in. He shows a lot of partying, a lot of letting loose, and then kind of when the profound stuff comes in, it's very natural. It's very, like, kind of happenstance, and I just really like that.
Yeah.
Like in Dazed and Confused even. Like there's some conversations that happen in that movie that just come out of nowhere, and it's like, oh, well, that I learned something from that.
Yeah.
But most of the time, you're just having fun with these characters, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah. Like, again, it's one of those great hangout movies where you just watch them talk about stuff and do fun stuff, and you're just there enjoying it along with them.
And this is the synopsis. The tagline is "Here for a good time, not a long time." And the synopsis says, a comedy that follows a group of friends as they navigate their way through the freedoms and responsibilities of unsupervised adulthood. So we're seeing some kind of similarities in the taglines and the descriptions for these movies. Those are both from Letterboxd, by the way. But yeah, let's compare these.
Yeah, I think they're similar in the fact that we're following several characters in each movie, and they are trying to navigate their lives, whether it's through sexual or romantic relationships, and we're just kind of tagging along with them and seeing how they go about doing that. But other than that, they're pretty different from each other.
Yeah, so we discussed how this movie is both of these films are about someone finding some. They want some. And I think the some is different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody wants some.
But
I think the
sum is
different. So in Everybody Wants Some, it's more about a hookup, you know? It's a little more passive. In Singles, it's the kind of like, okay, I've been through the hookups. I've been through some heartbreak. I want something actually real, you know? I want something that lasts, and so these characters, they're a little more guarded, they're a little more jaded from their past experiences, so I think Cameron Crowe shows us in a similar, not too much of the same, but a similar way to Say Anything, where his film which takes place surrounding high schoolers falling in love. Whereas in that film, they're very supervised. They're very controlled by exterior entities. They don't have as much confidence, so they rely on the opinions and voices of others, and that kind of gets in their way. In this film, it's like they've become those people for themselves. They kind of do that to themselves.
Well, they also, in Singles, they also do the same thing where they're asking their friends around, like being like, right, should I do this? Should I do that?
Yeah,
or how's this gonna go?
Yeah, it's weird because you can kind of, if you really try to view these movies in context of one another and you try to think of the Singles as like the kind of next step in evolution beyond what the characters in Everybody Wants Some, or even something like Say Anything or Dazed and Confused before that is going through, you're seeing a lot of different angles on romance, on friendship, on how we, just relationships in general. And that's what I think is the through line between all, we say Everybody Wants Some is like the sister film to Dazed and Confused, but if you look at Singles and Say Anything, they could even be a little bit similar. It's like we're kind of taking these four movies and seeing all sorts of different aspects of human relationships. I think it's really fun.
Yeah, it is kind of like you gotta see like cycles. You see, like Say Anything and Dazed and Confused is like the first, like you're the first part of being, you're starting to get these emotions and these ideas of being with friends and having partners and whatnot and being in a relationship, but then you get into like Everybody Wants Some, and it's more about like really exploring yourself more and kind of figuring out what you really want, because as a high schooler you think you know what you want, but you don't really know what you want. And
yeah,
Everybody Wants Some, you're really finding out like what they really want with their lives, and like they're kind of exploring every avenue and aspect of that. And then you finally get into Singles, and by that time you do know what you want, and it's kind of hard to get what you want because it could be very particular, and you don't, like you said, they're very guarded, and they don't want their your heart to be broken anymore, because it's probably happened many times before for these characters, and they're just a lot more selective in what they want.
Yeah, both of these movies have a sort of a like in Singles, they're very much guarded, but again, Linklater's characters they're younger, they're a lot more open, and I think that's just kind of what he usually explores, is something about being open to life and being open to doing shit that's not safe or healthy all the time, like partying and all that shit, and just
Linklater is just very nostalgic in like what he likes to put out there. A lot of his movies are like centered around younger adults or even teenagers or even kids that we'll talk about later on. And I think he just has like that youthful soul to him, and he just wants to kind of imprint that into his movies as well. Where Cameron Crowe, he grows with the times and with society, like with Singles as well as anything. Say Anything, those are both contemporary films, and Fast Times was also contemporary, which he wrote. And he's just kind of going along with the Singles. It's about the grunge scene, and that was very popular at the time in the 90s, where Everybody Wants Some, it's more nostalgic for the times of the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, like Cameron Crowe's very much more attuned with the culture of the time and everything like that, and Linklater is more like, but remember how great this was? Or
the closest thing Cameron Crowe does to doing what Linklater does is actually with Almost Famous.
Yes, which we will get into. And I think that's why I like Linklater's movies, is because he kind of always is trying to remind, I think, audiences about, I guess, not just the fun of being young and the partying aspect, but how those things are in a way necessary. And I think that's just the best part about it, because like I think he usually has like the man or the what am I even trying to say,
like the opposition.
Yeah, the opposition is usually just trying to, like, growing up and not having good times anymore. It's like you should still have good times.
Yeah. No, I like I said, I love Richard Linklater because it's always like the poster, well, the little tagline suggests, I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah.
And that's what his movies are. It's like, these are good times. They're not going to like showcase like every single aspect.
That's also why
characters.
That's also why his films take place in such a short amount of time, I think. Like usually.
And it's very time focused in a lot of his films. Like this is going to take place 3 days before college starts. Dazed and Confused is just
the last day.
The last day of high
yeah.
school.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the other tagline for singles, the whole like love is a game, easy to start, hard to finish. If we look at if we look at these two movies together, it kind of shows how, like, you know, everybody wants them. By the end of that film, you can kind of see how love might be starting for somebody.
Yeah.
Whereas in singles, you can kind of see how, like, that's the easy part. That's something they've been through that,
Yeah.
but it's trying to get that to last. You know, it's trying to get the long time out of the good time.
Yeah.
That's so difficult for these people. So it's interesting to watch these movies together for that reason.
Yeah, the obstacles that the characters kind of go through in singles is also very uniquely of that, like, age group. Like, for instance, I guess the two main individuals, the kind of the older couple, they even think about marriage and, like, having children, but even that can be kind of iffy based on their own career opportunities as well. And, like, with other Cameron Crowe movies that we've seen, he puts a lot of obstacles in the way of the characters to kind of have them reckon what they really want in their lives. Because with those characters in singles, I'm sorry, I forgot their names.
It's okay. There's a lot of characters in these movies.
but it's the character, it's the guy that wants, you know, the super train, and the girl that she has the garage opener.
Yeah.
Like, those two specifically, like, from their relationship, it's when they do finally, like, become a thing and they're talking about marriage and having kids, it seems all fun and great and, like, oh, this is obvious what's gonna happen. And then there's just a random car crash that happens, which kind of just kind of ruins their life for a little bit, and they just kind of have to reckon with that and understand that, you know, bad things are going to happen, but as long as you could, like, kind of get through it. And they kind of figure out that they really do want each other after that period, that they really do kind of come back together, and it's not so easy at that point to separate them, because in the end they obviously they get back together, even though they have that big moment.
Yeah, you got to stand those trials.
Yeah, and I think that's what Cameron Crowe does a lot with these movies about relationships, is that as long as you can get through the hardest of times, it'll probably work out.
Yeah. And I think everybody wants some. On the other hand, not really some hard times, some good times.
No, it's all good times.
But it's such a fast environment that these characters are in. They're just going, like, every day is different, every night is different, like, everything's moving so fast. And I think deep down, a lot of these characters, they want something to slow them down.
Yeah.
They don't really know how to do that, though.
Well, yeah, with them, it's more about a pivot. It's, for instance, when they kicked out of the disco club, it's more like, okay, where are we going to go now instead? And they go to, like, the country club instead. And,
yeah. They're not attached to anything, so they can pivot very, very easily.
Yeah.
And eventually, I think, you know, in life, you start to want something that's going to last. You know, something you can actually attach yourself to without you know, endangering yourself of being hurt.
Yeah.
When it doesn't work out.
And I think they don't get close, but they kind of get into the whole part of being in a relationship near the end, when the main guy wants to meet up with the girl at, like, a party, and then he tells the guys, and they're like, so we're all coming now, and he's like, oh no, now they're all gonna come and, like, mess this up for me. But it doesn't really go far enough to where it becomes a problem in any relationship. It's just kind of like, oh no, I gotta deal with my buddies hanging around with this new girl that I like, and hopefully they're not gonna deter from wanting to hang out with me anymore. But again, it doesn't go far enough into making that a big problem. It's more just about, you know, at first it was about, you know, getting with girls, just, you know, have sex with them. Now it's more about getting with a girl because you like her and you actually feel like you have a connection there.
Yeah, exactly. Two great movies in my opinion.
Yeah, great. It was a bit harder to kind of compare and contrast these two because they are very different, but I think they're very different in a natural way because Everybody Wants Them is more about these late teens, early 20-year-olds, and Singles is very much about these mid 20-year-olds, late 20-year-olds, maybe even early 30s. I don't really know.
I don't know. It says 20-year-olds in the synopsis, so
but
maybe not.
It's kind of like this, like we've said, kind of like an evolution of like the type of person we want to be as we get older and what we're looking for.
Yeah, that's what's fun about comparing these. It's like they're exploring a different kind of desire, both of them, and I feel like these two desires can coexist within a single person's life, just at different times.
Yeah.
And that's why we decided to pair these films up. But also, you wanted to mention, I think, the music a little more.
Again, like we said, even in the last Cameron Crowe Linklater segment, is that they're really into music, both of them, and especially Cameron Crowe with the movie Singles, because he has Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, and like Alice in Chains and others in that movie, like as themselves. Some like Chris Cornell is just like a background character in a scene. He just kind of walks up and like hangs out for a second, and you see Eddie Vedder like having several like lines that he even says out loud, and I just find it really really fun that Cameron Crowe just loves to be in. From his background being a writer for like Rolling Stones and music magazines, obviously he has a big thing with music, so introducing them as a part of the scene of his films is really interesting. Also, one of the characters, the Matt Dillon character, he's like a rocker too, so it just kind of adds to that kind of vibe of what the movie is. And then with Everybody Wants Some, it's very nostalgic for that late 70s, early 80s music, whether it's disco or rock or yacht rock or whatever is being played at the time. Rapper's Delight's in it. That's a really fun part where they're just all singing Rapper's Delight. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that and I also think it's interesting that Richard Linklater is very nostalgic with the music he picks, whereas Cameron Crowe, other than maybe Almost Famous, it's more contemporary with what he picks for his music.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the thing. Again, Linklater's just more nostalgic. But you'll see in also Almost Famous, like the way that Cameron Crowe implements music into his movies, it makes the world feel more lived in. I guess you can kind of connect with it more easily if you're seeing musicians that you already know and everything like that. So it's also just fun.
It's just a fun way to, it's also if you know the band members of Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and all these guys from the grunge scene at the time, you're going to put them in the movie. It's like, why not?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is like a nice enhancement to the world of the film.
I also like that Van Halen song Everybody Wants Them is the title to the movie Everybody Wants Them, just like Dazed and Confused was the title to Dazed and Confused, which is a Led Zeppelin song. And I always had this it's not really a theory, it's just kind of just this idea about, sex, drugs, and rock and roll as being like the thing for like music and rock for like the 80s.
Yeah.
Not even just the 80s, but like the 60s through the 90s, really. Sometimes even today. But my thing was that, especially during the 80s, you had 3 bands that represented each one. For rock and roll, you had like AC/DC. They're all about rock and roll. For drugs, it was like Guns N' Roses, Mr. Brownstone, like a lot of songs about drugs. But with Van Halen, it's more about like sex. Everybody Wants Them, Unchained. And that's why I think it's so fun for them to have Everybody Wants Them as the name of the movie, because it's about sex. It's about like the hookup culture.
He's being cheeky with it.
Yeah. I
like the theory.
I just found, well, I don't even know what it's called. It's not really a theory. It's just like how I've always seen it when listening to kind of those 80s rock bands.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. But now we should go on to the School of Rock.
All right.
And Almost Famous.
So we have got Almost Famous and School of Rock.
And these are very heavily music related films.
Yes. It's kind of cool that even all four of these kind of have something in common like that. But Almost Famous is a movie that I saw when I was much younger, and I've seen it a couple times since then. I've always really liked it. Again, Cameron Crowe, my mom told me about it, introduced me to it. She agrees with this. She is the Frances McDormand character in the movie.
Yeah.
Maybe even worse. I don't know. But, sorry. But, yeah, Frances McDormand in the movie. It's terrifying to me. Anyway. I always liked it. I always loved coming-of-age movies like this. I thought it was pretty unique in the way that it took place in the rock and roll scene. The thing is, I've never been a very musically attuned person. Like, I like music, but I've never been, like, super into music. Being like, oh, yes, like, all these musicians, like, these are my favorite bands, and, like, all that stuff. Like, I'm not very educated and researched in the world of music. So there's always a disconnect for me with the Cameron Crowe stuff. I always appreciate it, but I'm not like, oh, that's so fucking cool. Like, you know, I'm not nerding out about it. Like,
no, I
was
the actual opposite.
Or like you are. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
With Almost Famous, when I saw it as a teenager, it just kind of came up. I don't even remember how I even heard about it. I think I just, like, it was, like, gonna be playing on, like, cable television, and whatever we had, it had, like, a little rating system, and it gave it, like, a 4 stars out of 4 stars. So I was like, oh, it must be a really good movie. And then I watched it, and I was like, this is a movie about me. Like, I love all the music in it. I love just the coming of age-ness of it. Just the whole thing. It was very much my thing, my vibe, especially when I was a teenager. It was very much a me movie, and I loved it instantly.
Well, what's so interesting about it is that this movie actually did kind of introduce me to, you know, this young character who is into journalism for rock and roll. And I've always had a reverence for journalism when it comes to film. So in a way it's different, but I've always kind of liked that aspect of the movie. And you say you are the character and you related to the character. I didn't relate to the character that closely because of the whole music thing, like I mentioned, but I did always relate to him, like, wanting to do something and having, like, a really strong passion for something. And, like, his mom is just like, don't take drugs. Like, you know, kind of like he's in a way, like, both out of his element and in his element at the same time. Like, on the surface, you know, people wouldn't think much of him. He's literally a kid doing this stuff. But because he loves it so much, he actually is really good at it.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense that you would like this movie. Just the relationship with the mom and the sister and all that stuff. It's like, yeah,
exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And as for School of Rock, I saw this movie super young. Like, where did I even watch this for the first time? It must have been, yeah, super young. I was like right as it came out, and as a kid, I just loved it. I just loved the idea of these little kids just making music at school, and the school teachers just kind of like hiding it from the other teachers. I don't know. It was just something I grew up feeling very nostalgic about, and I never like owned the movie, but whenever it was like on TV, I'd always watch it. It was like one of those movies that would just magically be on TV while you were homesick and you can go to school, and then it was just on, and you're like, oh my god, it's the perfect movie to watch.
Honestly, I could rewatch this movie every day of my life, I think. It's so good. We watched it recently to prepare for this. Like, Linklater has a lot of films in the Criterion Collection. This needs to be in there because it is so good. It's one of the most watchable, like, fun movies. It's so funny.
It's really just the marriage of Linklater's direction, Jack Black's performance, and Mike White's just like god tier level writing for these kids and these characters.
The thing is, the writing is really good for like the characters and everything. Yeah. The plot of the movie, like the shit that goes down, the shit that Jack Black gets away with in this film, would not go like he'd get caught way sooner in reality.
Yeah,
who fucking cares?
Yeah,
this is about it's about the music, man. It's about a great message about, I don't know, not letting your not turning into the man. Staying a passionate individual. The thing that we tied in with these two movies is the fact that in School of Rock, Jack Black is the teacher, literally, but in turn, like, the kids end up teaching him, because his goal in the start of the film and like for most of the movie is rather selfish. He wants to make these kids, he sees how they're musically talented, and he wants to make these kids into a band so that he can win Battle of the Bands and make money to pay his rent and like get some money, because he's broke.
Yeah, he also fakes being the sub teacher to also make money.
He pretends to be his roommate to get the substitute teacher job. So it's this whole elaborate scheme for a very selfish goal. But over time, he learns that, he wants to have like all the creative control on it, kind of like impose his will on these kids. And he is teaching them valuable lessons, but as a byproduct of that. And then over the course of the movie, he starts to learn that the kids are actually goated. Like, the kids are actually they teach him about, the communal aspect of the band.
Yeah, he really becomes, at the beginning of the movie, he's an adult, but he's very immature. But by the end of the movie, he kind of grows as a person, and he grows to understand that, these kids are his responsibility. He needs to take care of them. He also cares about the kids' lives, when they're not at school, and how they're being treated. And he kind of learns that
he relates to them.
Yeah, he kind of learns that he relates to them, and he also wants the best for them too, as well. And it kind of comes from this love for music that they kind of all have.
Yeah, and I think he kind of becomes the person that he wished he probably had as a kid.
Yeah.
Because, again, like, in the beginning, he basically is an adult kid. Like, he's very immature. And that's, I think, why he's able to relate to the children. But it also means that he respects them. Yeah. And he shows them kind of, he shows them that admiration and that kind of, like, believing in them in a way. It's like, I can use these guys. But the only reason he believes he can use these guys is because he doesn't dismiss them as just kids. Like, he sees their potential and their talent, and he does, try to nurture that, but, just for the wrong reasons at first.
Yeah. And a big reason why we picked these two together is because of that aspect of the kid teaching the adults how to be adults, like how to like you said before we started recording, is that the kids are more open to the world and ideas and like how things should be, and adults kind of make it more difficult for themselves. And you kind of need the kids' perspectives to kind of teach yourself how to just kind of open up to the world and I don't know, make things less difficult than they need to be.
Well, I've always believed that when you get older, you just overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
You just overthink, overcomplicate, because we create so many constructs and systems, and like Jack Black talks about, like, the man in the movie, like, rock and roll is all about sticking it to the man, right?
Stick it to the man to get it.
Yeah, he says they have stick it to the maniosis.
Yeah, or something like that.
Fucking stupid. That's so stupid.
I love it. It's so
I love
funny.
it, but it's so silly.
I gotta use that one day. I got stick it to the mandiosis.
Yeah. But anyway, I was saying, he says rock and roll is all about sticking it to the man. And in this movie, you distracted me by saying that. Well, yeah, he admits that he's in a way the man as well, because he's kind of in charge of them. But My point is, I think that we all are at risk of becoming the man in our lives. We all are at risk of becoming a cog, becoming a person that has to uphold the integrity of something that was created by someone else that we don't actually like. We just want to make a living, maybe, and so
like
it's
the
our job.
Schneebly character. It's like his roommate. It's like his roommate used to be like in a rock band. He was like, you used to be cool, and now you're like the sub teacher who's like not cool anymore.
And I mean, his girlfriend is a little controlling.
Yeah. But
she's right about a lot of things.
Yeah, but at least by the end of the movie, they kind of get both worlds where Schneebly could like teach these young kids, like the little kids, how to play music themselves, and even Jack Black, he gets to be a teacher, but he gets to teach music instead of like faking it as a sub.
Basically, it's like this chain, right? You have the kids teaching Jack Black a valuable lesson about community and creative collaboration and how he needs to kind of let go of his ego with things and his goal and tunnel vision on like one thing, and then on top of that you have the Schneebly character who dismisses Jack Black like I feel like most people in that kind of world would dismiss a child and a child's perspective. And it's like this kind of like belief that like when you get older you have to focus on more boring shit. You can't love your passions. You gotta like pick yourself up and just do the work, and it's you get a job for money, and then you somehow like become so ingrained into that job that you forget who you are in a way. You kind of just you just forget who you are. You just become like so worried about the job and what's going on with that it's like you don't even. Some people just can't even make time for their passions because they have to work so hard to get by because the world is fucked, you know? And, if we all could, stick it to the man a little bit every once in a while, it'd be better.
Yeah. And again, like I said, we paired this with Almost Famous because the main kid, the little
Patrick
journalist,
Fugit's
character.
Yeah,
he's the most adult character out of all the band members, and Penny Lane, the girl that's with them.
Yeah.
And they kind of have to learn from him how to kind of take responsibility for their lives and how they operate the band. And like Billy Crudup, like he's super immature, but he thinks he's kind of like this hot shit because he's like the guitarist and everybody loves him, but he's kind of all for himself and not for the band and everybody else in the band. And he kind of has to learn from the kid that it's about all you guys. It's about the band and making the music rather than just the fame and just having sex with Penny Lane, who he just kind of throws to the side near the end of the movie, and it's not right, and he knows it. The kid knows it's not right because he's a kid, and he's like he could see that he's using these people, and he's being used by him as well by not giving him that interview, and it's kind of wrecking his life a bit. And again, with Cameron Crowe, all these obstacles keep happening that he can't get to what he needs to get, which is just an interview to send to Rolling Stones so that they could be on the cover of Rolling Stones. But
there's speaking of Rolling Stone, there is a level of like deceit in both films.
Yeah.
Where Jack Black is hired as the substitute teacher in the place of his roommate because he pretends to be his roommate, and Rolling Stone doesn't know that the main kid is a kid.
Yeah.
In Almost Famous.
Yeah. So they basically hired just a teenager to write an article for the cover of Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was funny.
And
it's also, for people that don't know, it's semi-autobiographical of Cameron Crowe's experience as a young writer for Rolling Stones, and he would have these very similar incidences with bands like the Allman Brothers Band. like I just read earlier that the scene where Billy Crudup jumps off the roof and into the pool, that actually happened. Well, I think with Dwayne Allman, one of the Allman brothers, and Cameron Crowe was there to kind of see that and highlight that.
Yeah, I think that's always really cool. I feel like he's always drawing from personal experience and personal passions. Like even Fast Times, he kind of wrote. It's like an account of a lot of things that he saw in real life. So in Almost Famous, like you were saying, it's kind of the kid teaching the rock band members to be more mature.
Yeah.
Whereas in School of Rock, I think Jack Black is in a way teaching his roommate that it's okay to be more like childlike and excited about things and passionate about, creative things. Whereas the kids, in a way, teach him to be more mature about the way he navigates that. So I think both of these movies are a little bit about the balance between adulthood and like love of something and creativity and passion, and like how that kind of survives in adulthood and how to balance it. So like, yes, Jack Black, passionate about music, really awesome. He can play the instruments, like he loves it. He's so into it. He gets so into it. He does solos, like just he tries to crowd surf and fucking falls on his face because nobody else really understands him and how much he loves it. But at the same time, he's late on his rent and he's treating his roommate poorly. He's not being dependable, and he needs to learn to do that at the same time. He needs to, like, you have to still have your integrity in your relationships and not be selfish.
I think
the same way.
That's what both movies are about, is balancing that passion with that integrity.
Yeah.
And I think that's super cool. I was actually talking about this earlier, how I wish there was like some kind of like spin-off where the two School of Rock and Almost Famous meets, where where the kid just is a journalist and he kind of runs along with the kids.
He interviews the School of Rock
band.
But
another fun fact was that Jack Black was supposed to audition for Almost Famous for the Philip Seymour Hoffman role, which is Lester Bangs, who was a real film critic at the time.
That's really cool.
And I think that would have been funny to see Jack Black in Almost Famous.
I think Hoffman's a little better for that role.
He's if you're gonna put Philip Seymour Hoffman in every role, you should, because he's just gonna be.
If
great.
you can get him, you should get him. Rest in peace.
Yeah,
one of the best actors. But yeah, I mean, both of these films are incredible. I also want to say, when you were talking about Almost Famous, like the maturity aspect of the young kid in the movie, I think maybe that does come from having that kind of mom, because I get told this a lot at work. Like a lot of people, I've hung out with a lot of people, and I always tend to gravitate towards older friend groups. That always happens to me, like throughout my whole life.
Look at me.
Yeah, but throughout my whole life, I always hang out with older people, and of course that my mother's like, "Oh, be careful. You don't know what their real intentions are," and like all this stuff. But they're always like just a few years older than me. Everyone that I hang out with, like any significant friend group I have, I feel like that's always been the case. And then I've always been told by those people and by pretty much everybody, like, "Oh, you seem older. You seem older than you are," even though I look like I'm 12. If I shaved this beard, I would look like I'm 12. But they always say, "Oh, I thought you were older because you just act older. You just have this aura about you. It's a little more mature." And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I had a lamer upbringing. I don't know. Like,
it's probably like you said, because the mom is so,
she kind of fearmongers.
Yeah. So you kind of have to like put up with that, and so in a way, in some aspects, you're not as afraid of some things than other people are, which makes you feel more older than other people.
Yeah.
Because you're so used to being afraid of everything.
Well,
not everything. But
I've always
specific things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've kind of always felt scared about like more scared of things than other people, but then it's kind of weird. Like there are certain other things that are just like not as big of a deal. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but yeah, that's why I've always liked Almost Famous as well.
It's similar but not the same. Everybody always thought I was older, not because of how I act, but just because of how I looked. And now I'm like catching up to that age, and so I just like I still look older than like what I actually am.
Yeah.
So it's always been more of a physical thing than a like, oh, you act older, but I just know I look older. I act like I'm 18.
So
still.
maybe you and me should be compared on.
We should have a Freaky Friday moment where we just swap bodies, and then we know.
Be perfect.
Then we know how it feels. But yeah, no, these two movies are great.
All four of these movies are
all
great.
four of these movies are great. This is why I wanted to pair these two directors up, because their movies are so different and yet so similar at the same time, and I just think they should, I don't know, somewhere down the line they should make a movie together. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I would watch a Cameron Crowe written Linklater movie.
Yeah,
that
or
would
vice
be sick.
versa.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So, our question for you is, what's your favorite musical movie that's not a musical? Like, movie that is prominently featuring music but is not an actual musical.
Yeah, the thing is, and the reason why we kind of came up with that little question is because I think Almost Famous might be my favorite movie in terms of that. It's like music based but not a musical.
That's up there for me.
Yeah.
Shoot, just saw Highest to Lowest. That counts. That's about the music industry.
It's about the music industry. It's got great music in it.
Yeah.
Got A$AP Rocky in it.
If you don't like the score in that movie, I don't understand.
It's so good.
Hey, maybe that's a teaser for something we might be talking about next time.
Yeah. Look out for that.
But in 2 weeks, so there'll be one more episode that's not related to this, and then one after that will be the next episode of Cameron Crowe and Richard Linklater.
Yeah, it'll be our final little segment for this. Kind of wrap it up. They have a lot more movies out there, but not all of them are.
Yeah, we're not gonna. We don't want to like do something where there's just a bunch of dead air and we're kind of grasping at. Like, we want to actually, talk about movies that we feel are worth comparing.
Yeah.
Not that we don't like their other films, but this is just for the sake of the segment.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you really want us to talk about some of their other movies, let us know.
We'll
make something out of it. Anyway, our next episode is going to be on Jerry Maguire paired with Where'd You Go, Bernadette. I haven't seen either of those.
That's going to be interesting because I know a lot of people don't love Where'd You Go, Bernadette. But I think comparing the two is going to be very interesting because of how each character kind of goes through some stuff.
It'll be really interesting. I haven't seen either of them at this moment, so I actually don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And then the other one will be
Vanilla Sky and Hitman. Again, very different movies, but there's something to them that kind of has there's a little bit of something there that I think that we could really bite in and really talk about. So
all right.
Look out for that one.
Yeah, look out for that episode. Look out for next week's episode. We post every Monday, so join us again next week and follow us on other platforms. Follow our TikTok, our Instagram. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Send us an email. Let us know what you think. Any of that stuff is very welcome. And check out our clips and stuff on TikTok. We've been doing some more of those lately. So
yeah, we put a lot of clips on TikTok, Instagram, all the good places that you probably doom scroll on. So
yeah,
look that up.
Add us to the rotation. We would love to be there. All right. Anything else?
I think that's it. This is a pretty small episode, but the 4 great movies that we love.
That's what this is all about. Just the little segments, little in between weeks.
Do we want to? I don't rate the movie.
I would give. I mean, I guess we can. We love all these movies.
Yeah.
The rating doesn't really matter. But for me, I would say Almost Famous, School of Rock, 5 stars, both of them. Everybody Wants Some, 4.5. And singles, I would give a 4.
Very close to what you'd say. I would say Almost Famous, School of Rock, and Everybody Wants Some, or 5 apples in the boxes for me.
I fucking didn't say the verbiage. I know. As soon as I said it, I felt such shame and embarrassment.
And I think singles, I will also give it 4 stars. I do really still like that movie a lot. It doesn't hit as home as the other 3
I'm
movies.
sure on my next watch of Everybody Wants Some, maybe that little last half star will come in, and then we'll be the same person.
Yeah. And
right.
then maybe I'll be like, yeah, Trap 5 stars.
Fucking God can hope. One can hope.
One can hope. We'll see, maybe down the line, 20 years down the line.
20 years down the line, you're gonna be like, I get it now. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. I've been Peyton.
And I've been Adryon.
And we'll see you next time on the Apple Box.